Hi everyone, I'm Neil again on EndlessPens channel. I'm joined by Karyna from Karyna Loves to Plan. You may know her from her successful YouTube and Instagram where you can see all the planners, pens, and inks of your dreams, or from her website where you can buy handmade stickers to match the visual aesthetic that she has honed so well over her 8+ years of practicing her craft. I looked up some stuff about your channel, and I've watched you before, don't get me wrong, but I had to look back, so I went to I don't know if it's embarrassing for you like it is for me, but I went to like your oldest videos. I was like, I
Oh
gotta
my
look.
God.
I gotta. Do you do you ever go back and look at them? I need to know that before I go into this. Do you do it?
Like there's some videos that I go back to, and then when I look at them, I'm like, I remember why I don't look at them. It's like using,
Hmm.
didn't even have like a proper tripod set up. I didn't even have like a proper desk. I was filming on a I think like a white board on my bed because I was trying to get like the sunlight coming in from the window. So
Hmm.
different to my setup now.
I get people that will say, "I just found your channel before. I went to look at some of your videos. I'll say maybe just like the most recent three. You can start there and just we'll call it a day."
Yeah, don't go past like even 2020.
That's what
Anything
I'm
before.
saying. You hit past a month, I'm like, we're good. It's fine. That's me. Let's stop. Before I get in even your pen, the hatch stuff, I actually just want to talk about you and your channel more. What do you obsess over the most? Is it colors, layout, or audio?
So what do I obsess about? I almost feel like that's for me, I just want to get it done because
Oh my gosh.
I'm on like a time crunch, like working full time and having a family and also trying to run a sticker shop. I try to fit in filming a video where I can. It's like, what is the um, path of least resistance that I can get this done? And even if for example, like I had a planner spread from earlier this week where I made a mistake on a heading, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to start over. I'm just going to write over it and see if I can get away with that.
Hmm.
So I mean, for me, I feel like I'm at the point though in filming my videos where I know it works for me, and I just go with, yeah, the path of least resistance or the path of least friction. I don't try to obsess about making sure that a sticker is perfectly straight on a planner, because I'm
Hmm.
never going to get that. And I don't even obsess over the fact that I have ink on my fingers. It's just like, it's going to happen. I think
Hmm.
for me, I just want to make sure that one, people can hear me, and two, I'm not going or like or doing those fillers a lot.
Personally, I cut all mine out. I can't have them shown. So people will probably think that I might speak a lot more clear than I do, I guess. But I make sure to cut those out. I'm like, and it's the smallest little, my hand moves barely in frame, But I'm like, they'll never catch it. It's 2 frames. That's all. I don't know if you've done this. I know I've done this, but have you ever done it where you get ink on your hands early in the video and then you realize you forgot to film something and you have to go back to film it? And now you like maybe have washed your hands or something and the ink's not there. Have you ever tried to like, oh, what do I do now kind of thing?
Like for me, it's just there's gonna be like if I've forgotten to film something in a video and there's gonna be like inconsistency, I'm like, or even actually for me, like my nail color. So for example, I filmed something
Mm.
and then maybe the next day I've had a manicure and then think, wait, I need to go back. I think, yeah, I'm not gonna film the whole video again. If somebody's really that um paying that much attention to detail in terms of my nails, then they'll ask something. But otherwise, I'm like, it's life.
When you do your videos, do you have it set like some sort of process that you're like, first I do this, then this, then this, then this? And then when you think you're done, you're like, are all of these points done or did I forget something? Did I miss something?
When I first started doing, new pen day videos, for example, there was no process. And then the more that I did them, but the more videos I watched as well, I realized there's actually certain points that I need to cover or wanted to cover. So I did create a list, and I actually had the list taped up on the wall in front of where I'm
Yes.
filming. And I would go through that. Or if I'm doing like a face-to-face video, I'll have my iPad right in front of me, making sure that I'm covering all the points that I need to. For new pen day videos, I've gotten so used to the routine of doing them because I have too many new pen day videos. So they become a bit routine. But there are the videos, yeah, where I have like a post-it up on the wall or my iPad right next to me so that I know what I'm doing.
I have a stack that I know I need to get to. Do you have, is it a stack? Is it, did you unbox them at least? Like, how is it? Mine, I see it and it's like, oh no, I'm so far behind. What's yours like?
Mine isn't too bad, but that's because I get so excited, and when I have a pen that comes in, my stack is literally on my desk, so I'm going to see it, but it's not too big. It's maybe at most like 1 or 2 high, if that.
Mhm.
And when I'm looking at it, it's more, okay, I need to get to it. And I already know in my head, because I'm a planner, I know when I'm going to film that. So it's not like a to be read pile or to be filmed pile. It's not crazy high. It's maybe 1 or 2 at most.
Okay, I'll pretend I said mine was small too then. Let's just go back. Mine's nothing. What list? What stack? Many people have staple ink pairings with pens. Do you have any sort of like rules for like pens don't work with this planner? I'm only going to use this kind of pen with this kind of planner. Is there something like that that's the perfect pairing like that? Instead of pen and ink, more pen and planner.
Not really. When I'm inking my pens, I think about, well, what do I feel like using? And I also, when I'm using pens and inks in my planners, I want the ink to match the stickers that I'm using in my planners. Although recently, especially with the Hobonichi weeks and some of the paper issues that are happening with the Tomoe River paper, I have a Pilot Vanishing Point that just has a Pilot Oroshizuku Takesumi, and that's just my black ink pen. And that's the one that's always going to be inked with that, and that will be for tinier writing. I have very tiny writing, so I need the finer, the extra fine. So having one pen that's always inked that way is my go-to. But otherwise, with all of my journals and the rest of it, there isn't really any specific pairing. It's, I want to write with what I feel like writing with.
I noticed a lot of the extra fine on your channel using smaller nibs like that. I use fine. I'm left-handed, so if I use like a broad or something, very likely I'm going to end up swiping it. So I use fine, but I'm also heavy-handed, so it's like if it's too fine, I have to like ride the line in between. So I generally go with fine, but I noticed that like all the small writing and stuff you do, I can never. Like, I'm just to be honest, there's no way. So I saw that and I was like, that's really nice.
On a side note, like my writing when I was in the 6th grade was so tiny. I felt so bad for my teacher, like thinking about it now, how tiny my writing was, smaller than it is today.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually found some flashcards from university where my writing was actually neater then than it was now. So my writing has evolved I write more now, I feel, than I did when I was just entering the workforce. So I think that has also helped with my writing.
About 2 years ago, I started writing in cursive, like exclusively. I almost never write in print. And the main reason being is my print is awful. It's horrible. It's like hieroglyphics. Like you could literally, it's bad. So I was like, well, let's just start doing cursive and we'll like pretend it's good because it's like pseudo better, right? It's not actually better. It just perceived to be better. And my cursive's gotten better, but what's funny is at work, I generally will write all my notes in cursive. Well, the other day I wrote in print. Someone's like, did you write this? I was like, yeah, why? They're like, it's awful. And I'm like, oh God, like you would hope after an X amount of time it'd get better, but no, we're talking 2 years on it. I'm like, it'll get better. And then no, they're like, this compared to normal, like what is happening? So I just, it was my mindset. I was like, we'll get better. And then 2 years have passed now and my cursive's better. My print's apparently not.
Your print is in a different part of your brain.
No samples to show you, but let's just be happy. One I have for you, and you may have, I tried to find if you've ever answered this question or if you've been asked it, but it's one that I was curious about. So like in any sort of sports and whatnot, people will do fantasy drafts. Have you done one like this for a notebook? Like if you could take elements from all the different ones you like if we were to nitpick and kind of build your dream notebook, what are we looking at?
Oh gosh, the dream notebook. That one's tough. I think I'm thinking like from outside to in, I would like a leather cover, but that's like soft and supple and easy to bend. I want it to be at least 400 pages. I'd like a big notebook. A5 size is what works for me. The paper has to be dot grid. I hate lined paper.
Thank you. Dot grid superiority. I love that. I do it all the time. Go on. Sorry.
Oh, and the paper, um, not this year's Toy River paper, even last year's Sands and Toy River paper, even the one before that would be my paper of choice. So yeah, I've never been asked that, but yeah, that would be my ideal. And every time I search for a notebook and I see lined, I'm like, nope, nope.
Next.
Yeah.
That's your notebook. Is that what you're saying to me right now?
Yeah.
Obviously you're doing stickers and everything. Does it have to be refillable, or do you think it's one and it's full and it's done? Like travelers are refillable, plotter, things like that.
Mhm. Yeah, I think for me, when it comes to like a notebook, it has its purpose. Like for example, my pen and ink journal, it's for a specific time for me. So for me, if it's that notebook is just the one and done for that time frame, my journal for the year, it's easy for me to go back and see it. It's just in one book versus multiple. I
Hmm.
think for me personally, it's easier for me to have it in one versus multiple because I feel like I'd lose them. Even though I say I'm organized, but I'm sure I would lose
Hmm.
them.
I think some people are going to feel attacked when they. Yes, yes, you will lose them, and unfortunately, it does happen all the time. Sometimes I'll find notebooks that I don't know if for your shots they look. I mean, you got it down to a science. For mine, I'm like, I need a paper for a writing sample, so I'll just like grab paper, any of these notebooks, and then I'll forget I've done something in one, and I'll flip through trying to find a blank page because it's so thin that you can see the pages under. So I have a bunch of notebooks where it's like. Writing blank, writing blank, writing blank, because I've had to skip ahead. So it's like first take every time.
It'll be interesting to go back to that notebook and be like, okay, what was I trying to piece together here?
Why did I write in print? See.
Yeah.
So obviously with your following, I saw 20,000 plus fans. That's awesome, by the way. That's a big accomplishment. There's not a lot of people that have done that, truthfully. And then to stay so consistent for so long, it takes a lot of drive. I think that's commendable. And I started my thing only 8 months ago, and just seeing, truthfully, anyone that's been doing it as long, I think it's inspirational to most people. So my question on that is, do you have any sort of advice or anything you give to people? Say they want to start out, say they've been doing it and maybe they're not getting traction. Is there anything that you would, I guess, kind of help people, guide them to follow in your footsteps?
This is like a side note, but I'm working on receiving that type of feedback. But for me, it's been, yeah, like that consistency over the 8 years. But also, there have been different phases of my YouTube and Instagram journey, different planners that I was using, and even getting into fountain pens and things. So there's different phases of my journey. But yeah, the key thing there was consistency, but also finding a routine that works for me. I went through a phase where I was filming and posting videos daily, and then it felt like work. So it was no longer enjoyable. And I know that there's some people who do that and then say, you know what, I'm done, can't do it. I didn't stop altogether. I literally cut my videos in half and found a pace that worked for me. And I started filming videos that I really enjoy filming. So for me, it's find what you like to film, and do it as consistently as you can. And I say that with the caveat that the goal that you have for your YouTube channel has to also be in line with the amount of effort that you're going to put into it. Like if you want it to
Mhm.
be a, over 10,000 or over 20,000 channel, you have to, there has to be some work that goes into it, whether it be, looking at the type of equipment. So for example, like a tripod to hold your phone properly. I mean, I film out of my phone. I don't have a very professional camera. I have an iPhone 12 mini that I film from. I edit my videos on iMovie. If I could just dump them and then upload them, I don't even go through and edit out all the ums.
You're so
Um,
strong. You're so brave.
I think it's more like the ignorance is bliss in that
Mhm.
regard. And then with and now I've lost my train of thought. But no, it was finding the videos that you like to film, but also, yeah, like I said, the equipment, um, good lighting, and also good sound, and really just being an authentic person I think once you start connecting with the people who are commenting on your videos, that, like you said, creates regular people who are commenting. You're creating relationships with the people who are watching your videos. Some people that I've met in person, and it's amazing that I've met people in person who have watched my videos. It's always a great experience for me when somebody runs into me and says, "Your Karyna loves to plant." And I'm like, yes. So it's it's one of those things where it's a combination of things, and I don't feel like I'm always the best person to talk to you about, like SEO and search terms and things like that. It's more stayed consistent with it, and I felt like it was a more organic growth that way.
Mm. I think consistency, whether or not you need to know every SEO term, I think consistency rides true in anything, right? And I think obviously with me going back and looking at your first videos and seeing you've continued to keep doing it, obviously the consistency is there. If you want something, you have to work for it. It's probably the you're never going to get it handed to you. And truthfully, a lot of the stuff we do, and especially what you do, I genuinely see enjoyment in it. It looks like you actually like what you're doing, and that alone, any kind of passion, people read it, right? I do top down. Looks like you do a lot of top down as well. So I mean, people, but you can hear you can hear a smile in someone's voice, right? When they're happy, when they're enjoying it, whether or not you see it. So I get it, and I'm hoping everybody else understands as well. You do a lot of planning, obviously, for pictures, whether it's posts on Instagram, on YouTube. Do you do a lot of planning off camera?
Me, like filling out my planner off camera or anything like that. Yeah, I don't film everything that goes into my planner or, how I fill it out. I have videos that do that, but I find that it's not as consistent when I have to actually sit down and film myself doing it. So yeah, I
Hmm.
do a lot of filling out my planner off camera because it's my life. There's things that that go in there spontaneously without me having to sit at my desk and film it. And my planner, I guess the after the pen, I enjoy the view of that more because it is real life. It hasn't been
Hmm.
written to look a certain way. There's things that are crossed out and there's white out and there's mistakes, but I love it because that's what's happened in my week, and that's a record of it.
When you are planning, like, let's say on camera versus off camera, is there something, is there a different like feeling to it? Especially when I'm opening a pen on camera versus opening it by myself. I know there's a difference. For me, I have to assume there's some sort of, it's setting the mood right. It's getting me relaxed to do this planning by myself. There's no pressure. How is that for you?
For me, I'm lucky enough and grateful that I have my office and my craft room, and there's no one who, I say no one, but I hope that they don't come in here while I'm filming. So I'm in my space. I'm in the right mindset to do that. I also know that when it comes to planning, it's one of those things where I want to do it, but it's one of those things I need to do because I'm a planner. I need to have my week set out so that I can actually get the tasks done that I need to. So all of those combined make it easier for me to sit down and actually film my plan with me video because I know, this will help me to start my week. This will help me to plan out my week. And then when it comes to, for example, an ink haul or a pen review video, that one I have to be in a different mindset for because one, I want to really film my authentic reactions to it. But also, for example, with an ink video, I have to have things set up on my table. I have to have like the water jar. I have to have like my
Mm.
different paper samples, and the view outside of the filming area is a complete mess because it has to be prepared for everything that's happening off camera. So there's different prep that happens with the inking video versus the calm that people see
Yeah.
actually uploaded.
I know you know this is true, but I'm still gonna point it out. Your Instagram posts are amazing. They are like so good looking, and you've got this aesthetic that's just nailed across them. My question for that is, what goes into setting that up? Obviously, you took time to get to the point where you're like, I know what I like, I know how I want this to look, but what goes into setting that up?
Gosh, if you've looked through like my whole Instagram account and looked at the progression,
Hmm.
oh, I don't even want to look back that far.
Let's do it together right now. Let's both go on this.
Well, it's like a combination of things. Like you said, it's knowing what I like to put down, but also, for example, having the different grid colors, like, and nailing that to almost a science, knowing that, okay, well, this picture has to have the dark wood background and this picture has to have the white background. I plan that out in my monthly spread in my home in each week, so I know what's going where. But in terms of what actually goes in a picture, I use what I have, but I also don't want to over style it, because that's not me, you know?
Okay.
Like even before we went on our call today, I'm like, oh, I have to get out of my work sweats. I did not get out of my work sweats. I basically brushed my hair to get onto this call.
We
But I
match.
want
That's all.
yeah, just making sure that, you know, that the face looks good and that like my shirt doesn't have any rips in it. But that is also what I want to come across when it comes to like my Instagram posts. I want it to be something that doesn't look like it took me hours to take a photo. It's, here's my notebook, here's the inks that I want to display, and it literally takes me less than 5 minutes, not even that, to take those pictures.
That's crazy. When I do like a thumbnail or something, or even think about doing one, I'll think a video is completely done. And I was like, well, here goes my next hour to a thumbnail. Because I'm so like nitpicky to know you're like, you've got this. And granted, you've worked at it, you've gotten there. It wasn't always that way, I'm sure. But dang, 5 minutes is crazy. I was not ready for that.
It's also though, like the knowing how much time I have and what resources I have. I wish I had time to be able to style photos a bit more, but I also know, like at the end of the day, I hate saying this, but I'm a little lazy. So
No, take it back. Take it back.
it's like I've broken that barrier. I've like, yeah, there's certain things that I'm just lazy, and I'll do the most that I need to, and then be like, all right, we're done.
Obviously you had a pen come out, which is super exciting. I want to like lean into getting to that point though. When I looked up like when Hatch started and I asked them, it was 2018, 2019. At what point did you, I guess, become aware of it and then kind of realize like, I want to do a design, or I have a design that is maybe worth doing? Obviously it was worth doing, but how, you know, what was the process for you on that one?
Let's see. How did I become aware of it? Because I know I applied or sent in my application for the design of the pen in the summer of 2023. And I think I became aware of one, Endless, just looking around their shop and wanting to obviously look at pens and buy pens. But I think it was more that I stumbled upon their Hatch project, and I thought it was such a great way for, you know, I say little people like ourselves to be able to share.
I am in your shadow.
But I just thought it was a great opportunity for people to be, you know, in my head, selfishly, I'm like, I want a custom Leonardo, but then I also want to share it with other people. That was like the end thought. There was a picture in my head of like just the winter sunrises we get here. Because in winter, obviously the sun doesn't rise until about 8 in the morning, versus during the summer, I'm not up early enough to watch the sunrise at 5 in the morning. But the sunrises during winter are just so colorful, and I really wanted to capture that. And that was, for me, the idea was right there. I loved the colors that I saw, and I thought, well, this would be a pretty pen. It was really just as simple as this would be a pretty pen. So I thought, you know, send in this picture, send in the idea and the overall, it was a PowerPoint slide with my idea on it that I literally sent to Endless. And I was so happy that when they said, yeah, absolutely. I'm like, great.
Now, how do we do it? For me, and this applies to making videos and stuff too, you know, I take a lot of pride and joy in the process to get it done. And then of course the final product, there's times where I'm like, it can do good or bad. I'm just glad it's done. And then there's other times where I bask in it, right? For you with the pen, was it the design was finalized and you felt amazing finally? Or if you want to kind of explain how it was at that point versus once you actually held it in hand, because I know that had to be just unreal in some ways.
Yeah, there were different steps to it because obviously I got in contact with Stormwood Blanks and, gave her my ideas. And she did a fantastic job of working with me on the different colors. And then when she showed me the blanks, literally my mouth, like my jaw just dropped. And I thought she was able to really capture what I wanted, but also adding in like the little shimmers and the sparkles. I thought she added her own take on it as well. So I thought the being able to collaborate that way was just fantastic for me, being able to meet different people and collaborate that way and have Endless be able to connect us all. And then to see, because I didn't actually see the blank in person, I just saw it through pictures. Perfect. And then the blanks got sent over to Leonardo, and then I got to choose, the trim and everything like that. So I was also at that point where I'm like, it's already been over a year because there was just delays in the project getting off the ground. I just want the pen. and
Anxiety sets in.
yeah, and there were delays getting it shipped out, and then there were certain parts of my original design. So, for example, the trim that was supposed to go around the cap was supposed to be different, but because of just what was happening on the production side with Leonardo, we had to change it, and that was slightly disappointing. But in the end, I was also thinking, it happened for a reason. There's probably a reason why it wouldn't have worked out. And then when I did finally open the pen, there was a mix of feelings. It was the feeling of it's here, but then also I'm like, oh, is it over? All of that buildup in the last year and a bit coming to this. And I was so excited to have the pen finally in my hand, but also I'm like, oh, we're at the end product here. So it was a mix of feelings.
You want more, is what you're saying.
Ideal.
With that, you mentioned kind of how, she added her own flair, her own touch with the shimmer and stuff. Was there any specific detail that, obviously the whole thing from top to bottom is everything you wanted, or in most ways, but is there any specific detail that did make it through that you're just like, that's the one that stuck out to me and I think about that specific thing a lot? Is there any things like that?
I'm just trying to think. I mean, like all of the parts of the pen came together so beautifully, and I don't think there is anything that I would change about it, like the amount of the different colors of the resin and then the shimmer, but also with the rose gold trim or the gold trim, like all of it just came together really, really well. I don't think there's anything that I would have changed. It's my pen. I'm very happy.
Was it always a Leonardo in your eyes, even prior to fully conceiving the design?
Yeah, it was. Because I think with the Leonardo, the ability to have like different colored trim, like the rose gold for me was just, I love rose gold, and I thought it was the perfect match for it. I mean, I know some people prefer gold, and that's why there was that option too.
They're wrong.
They have arguments in the comments.
I know.
But also just the shape, and one of the reasons that I also went with Leonardo was because of all of the different collaborations that the company has done with different makers and different creatives. So for me, that was just a no-brainer.
The Memento Zero and really the 1 and 2, you could put anything on that and it would be a gorgeous pen. They've got the silhouette just nailed down. It's so nice. Mm-hmm. Were you aware that your pen is basically 1 or 2nd for their highest and fastest selling pen since release, like the fastest to sell out? Were you aware of this?
They did tell me how long it took to sell out, and I still can't believe that. And that part of me that's like, receiving feedback for me is something that I am working on, as you can see.
Everyone, I promise you.
So trying to celebrate, and that was hard for me because I thought, oh no, that can't be right. But it's amazing that it sold out as quickly as it did.
I'll celebrate for you then. I cannot believe this happened for you. That's so awesome, man. I would have been like, I don't know what I would have done. I would probably, well, I'll get to what I would do later. I'll relate it to something else. I'll run back to that. I promise. I'll run back to that one. After it sold out, and after people have finally got theirs in, because obviously they ordered it, but then they had to wait X amount of time to get them in. Have you had fans reach out, acknowledge anything, talk about the pen, anything beyond like, just it's gorgeous, you're perfect, it's the best pen ever? Is there anything that stands out to you as you're like, oh my God, someone else sees it? Because seeing someone's vision, it's like art, right? Everyone's got a different interpretation, but when they see it and is there any sort of feedback you got that you really want to, stands out to you?
I have a pen friend. We've only ever chatted over Instagram. We've never met in person, but she's become a very close friend of mine. And she was with me from the very beginning, from when I applied to, when she received the pen. And she and I have very particular pen buying rules when it comes to what will fit our criteria for what's worth it to buy a pen. And the fact that she was with me throughout the whole thing and this pen met her criteria for what she wanted to include in her collection means a lot to me, because she has very high standards. So we have a phrase where we call, if a pen is something that we want to buy, need to buy, it's called a BAM, because it's like 10 out of 10, the price is right, everything. And she even saw videos of the pen when I received it, which was before anybody else. So on that one.
I can cut it.
But when I posted my video, her only comment was "bam."
Oh, I have to just surprise and comment on a video when you get something else or something, and I'm just gonna have to hit that in there. That's so cool. Similar story, I guess. There's a guy that when I first started, I was sharing some of my stuff on Reddit just to try to help build an audience, and he reached out to me, and I almost thought it was like a scam. He's like, hey, do you want to review a pen? I can send you one. And I was like, okay. Then it's gonna be like, how much money and all this kind of stuff. So I was like, I'm good. But no, he subscribed, followed me, and he ended up loaning me a pen. I don't have it in front of me right now, but he ended up giving me a vanishing point, and this is when I first started. He gave it to me later on. I was like,
Oh.
so he's a good friend that when I get my BAM, I'm sure I'll get that same shared, feeling. I think that's awesome. There's so much good things that happen in this community, and that's kind of why I liking this community. I've been in a few different ones. I've done different things in the past, of course, just like anybody else. But the fountain pen community has just been amazing, really amazing. All the makers I've talked to, brands, people, amazing people that make the best pens and great Instagram posts. Who am I talking about? And it's so cool. I think it's an amazing community.
Absolutely. I think with the fountain pen community, the people that I've met at pen shows or online, the kindness of people, people sending me inks or, being able to send letters. It's just the kindness of people, and just even talking online, and you've never met these people, but they're willing to send you a vanishing point, send you 20 different examples and a whole ton of stickers. It's so touching to me, and it means so much to me that people reach out and want to do that.
They're so giving, I guess, even on not just giving people stuff, but information, sharing stuff. Here's the ones I like. Here's all of this. Usually in some groups, people get really opinionated, and that's like a deterrent, right? I don't want to hear people's opinion. I only care about mine. But it's everyone wants to share and wants to know why you think it. And it's just great. That's so, almost nothing has that. It's so great. You have a currently inked series. I watched a few of them. My question with that is your pen ever going to get a break now that you have your own pen? Or is it just, it's going to have to go and go and go?
No, it's a tough one, because I'm the type of fountain pen person where I want to have all of my pens in rotation, and they need to be used. I have a spreadsheet of my currently inked, because I need to know, when was the last time I used this pen? When was the last time I used this pen? Is it time to use this pen? Because I want to make sure they're all getting equal love, even though the Winter Sunrise is my pen.
Sometimes I'm like, I spent a lot, but if I use it this many times, it's worth $1 per use. I'll get my money back. Is that your spreadsheet for it?
You know what? I should add that to the spreadsheet. But no,
then you can buy everything.
Yeah.
You can never stop.
For me, though, it's more that I am the type of collector where if it's in my collection, I want to be able to use it. I don't want to have just something sitting there and not using. And I know for some people that they're okay with having pens in their collection that they're not using. I have one pen in my collection that I'm not using, but that is because I've technically retired it, but it was a gift from my dad, and I'm never ever selling that one. But it's so uncomfortable that I can't use it. But with my pens on a regular, everyday basis, I want to make sure that they're getting used because I bought them for a reason. I bought them because I want to be able to write with them. I want to draw with them. And if they're just sitting in a drawer and I'm not using them, then what's the point?
Some people have a collection to collect, but I am very of the mindset it's got to be practical. And like even on like an expensive pen, someone, I don't know that it's a believable story, but someone gave me a pen at my current job that is insanely expensive. They gave me a Leon Arco pen. I did a video on it, but those are tons of money. They're 4 digits. Like it's something crazy, right? And I have it inked right now because since I got it, I've been using it just at home. But the thing is, like, at some point, I'm like, I probably need to clean that out and like just let it chill, just let it relax. I I can see both sides of it, but I'm very practical in the sense I got to use it. But if someone bought it for me, I can do whatever I want at that point.
So yeah, you and I are of the similar mindset, but I know that there's a lot of different types of collectors and users in the community. So not everybody's going to rotate through, their pens like I do, but I just want to make sure they all get equal usage, or else I would rather sell them on to someone who's going to use them or love them more, or have them in their collection and be happy for them to just be there as part of the collection.
There's been so many good people here in this as a whole that I remember, I don't know if you don't want to say it, if you cried or not when you got your pen, but for me, I'm telling you, there's been moments where it just gets me, and I'm like, I'm not by no means super stoic or anything like that, but it's when it hits, like I'm like, oh, I can't hold that in. I'm gonna get emotional. There's a question later that I'll ask, and I'll talk about it, but yeah, that stuff gets me. That stuff gets me.
Just the kindness in this community. And for me, it's not even just that, but also people you're talking to online, and then suddenly you meet them in person. You feel like you've known them for years, even though you've only ever chatted with them online. And I love that.
I watched your video where you showed your pen off on Endless's channel. You used rose gold Antiqua. Do you have other inks that you'd recommend for your pen?
Right now, it actually has Diamine Cashmere Rose in it, which is perfect in it. Absolutely perfect in it.
Is that a shimmer one?
No. I actually took rose gold Antiqua out because the shimmer particles, I'm finding that the shimmer particles in some of the Robert Austria inks are a little bit too big for the extra fine and fine nibs. But I'm sure if I used, maybe Diamine Masquerade, it would be amazing in that pen as well. But me and my dusty pinks, I will put any dusty pink in that pen. Or even a brown. I'm into browns at the moment. I'm in a brown era.
What browns?
Right now there's one that I really like is Diamine Raw Sienna. It's just a good brown. Like I had to do my favorite browns, and it was so hard to try and come up with one. Like, don't ask me a favorite ink. It's like asking, if I had multiple dogs, asking which one would be my favorite dog.
Now I got another question I have to ask you. For your rotation for pens, are you that way with inks?
Inks is a little different because inks are, I hate saying this, inks are constantly coming in, whether like samples and things like that. So for me, I want to make sure that I use the samples, but then I also use the bottles that I have. So when I'm thinking of currently inked, I think half have to be samples and half have to be bottles, so that I'm actually using what I have. But it's not like there isn't a spreadsheet for the inks that I've used and when I've used them. It's more which bottles do I want to use and which samples do I want to use.
Do you finish bottles?
One of the bottles that I finished was because I was also giving a lot of samples away.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I think I've only ever finished 2 bottles. It's not a lot.
Yeah. That was my first bottle of Konpeki. You want to convince your close friends, family, whatever it may be. I was like, here, try this. And then I got to give them an ink that's like a blue that works in most cases and just works great. So I don't want to say I was forcing this on people, but I was like, you have to understand, this is the one you start with, and then you can do whatever you want after. But that's probably the only bottle that I have finished. Got your ink recommendations, and obviously you want to do more, whether it's pens or other projects. When are we going to expect a summer sunset pen? The inverse version coming out. I'm ready for it.
It's the inverse version of that. I'm not up early enough for summer sunrises, so I don't know if a summer sunrise is on the horizon. Oh my god, I had to do that joke. Sorry.
And there it is.
don't know. I don't know. Like I have another idea in my head, but it's not necessarily a sunrise or seasonal
Sure.
type thing. Um, and I don't know if it's necessarily a really elegant theme either. It's more like I just like the colors. And I think they'll go well together.
I think so much of the appeal for yours too, not even just the colorway and stuff, it's like your story that ties to it. And you got the emotion behind it. People can relate, people can understand. So, but I will say there is a place though for some pens that I have that I'm like, oh, it just looks really good. I like that. That's all I needed. That's all I need. Like look at like Lamy Safaris, you can have 1,000 of them, but then one new color comes out. Oh, I like that. I don't need a story. I just want that color. That's mine.
Well, yeah, like with the Twisby Ecos in that breakfast series, I did not need all three, but I have all three because they look good together.
I got two things left for you. I don't know how much time you have. I know we've been going a while. I'm free forever, but for the remainder of, at least 2025, obviously you now have like sold out designer added to your acolytes. What else are we looking at? What else we got going on? What are you doing this year?
I think I'd like to do, a couple of collaborations. But there's some that have been in talks with a couple of smaller makers that are probably going to come out later on in the year. But I know that Endless do want to do a restock of Winter Sunrise, which is fantastic. So that one should be hopefully coming out around either Black Friday or Fountain Pen Day, which is soon.
Oh, when everybody has money and they're gonna go crazy. Oh no, they're gonna sell out even faster.
But no, I'm always open to collaborating with makers and shops. And actually, something I was working on even just yesterday, just a quick, even little sticker collaboration with Stationery Universe and Pen Realm. Really quick idea that they want to put together for. I think it's the Chicago Stationery Fest or something that's coming up in March, which I can't go to.
Chicago is in March.
Just a quick collaboration for that. So I'm always open to working with creators and brands. It's just a great way to get to know people in the community, but also share your love of creating with others. I just find that process so fun.
I agree with you on that completely. I'm working on a hatch thing with them right now. Same thing, it takes obviously a lot of time. It seems like they are streamlining. It's definitely going, I think, faster for me than it was for you. I know they went through some stuff. You obviously spoke on in your video. They got my resin back right now, and I have it right here. I was going to show it. From doing research, I see red's not a very popular color for pens for whatever reason. I love red though. Like I don't show them, but I have a ton of tattoos and they're all red. So I can show you this. I don't know if we can get the best lighting, but I will show you it. Okay. This is a really bright light on top. Maybe that's too bright, but it's red, it's white, it's black. And then you can't see the shimmer. There is shimmer in the black. It's a certain red. I'm super nitpicky, but like, I'm not as good as you as and get it done in 5 minutes. So for me, I have to be somewhat particular, and the red color had to be like right for me. It was like a dream. They asked me, I don't know, on yours, did you pick Stormwind, or did they ask you who you wanted to go with, or what was the step there?
Yeah, they hadn't worked with Stormwind before, so I was like, no, she has to be the one, because I've seen her stuff and it had to be her.
Mm-hmm. I said I wanted Jonathan Brooks. So I don't know what they've done with him prior, but I just said I wanted to go with him because like stuff's crazy. Come on. Like you can't, everyone knows. I can say the name. Everybody knows who that is, And for me, I was just like,
nicest guy. He's also the nicest guy. Like, have you met him in person?
So no, I have not met almost anyone in the community right now. I don't live in a place that like is great for it, but I have some shows that I'm finally going to start attending and planning for. So
okay, which one, if you don't mind me asking, you don't have to include this, but which ones are you going to?
I know for sure I'm going to do Atlanta. If I can drive and it's 3 to 9 hours, sure, I'll do it. But if it's like I have family in California, I was trying to align to go visit them at this time. This probably looks bad to go visit. Hey mom, can I borrow your car for a weekend? I'm so glad I'm here. But I want to plan to visit them and try to align it with some show over there. I'm maybe bragging a bit much. I have a perfect wife, so thank God. She's really helpful with everything I do. So I work 50 plus hours at my normal job, and I do all the YouTube stuff on the side, and now we have this. But she's just been fantastic and very supportive, and I don't know that I could do half the stuff I do and still have sanity if it wasn't for her. So I definitely plan on it.
No, I absolutely agree with you. My husband is the same. He's so open to like my hobbies, and I wouldn't be able to do this. Like our kids are, I say grown, like my kids are 13 and 10. But they're, my husband's like, yeah, go to a pen show. It's fine. I will stay with the kids. But actually I planned our big summer vacation, and it's perfectly in line with the San Francisco Pen Show. So,
and there it is. And there, bam, that's what it is. It's so good. But yeah, I mean, that's most of my questions. I really wanted my thing with Endless is I obviously have something coming with them. And I told them with me, all my videos are top down, almost all of them. Occasionally I do giveaways. I'll do forward facing because people like that. And I just told them that I was like, I actually think I might have pitched them the idea to talk to you. I was like, your pen was so cool. And I think someone that loves Leonardo, I mean, there's many, but I think someone that knows that silhouette, it just is right. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's like, would I change anything? There's nothing to change. It's just right. It's what it's supposed to be. And I think when I can see someone that also is a creative and is doing and I'm doing amazingly, by the way, obviously. I just was like, they're like, are you comfortable talking to people? I'm like, I've worked customer service for 15 years. If I'm not, they should fire me. So I would hope that I'm okay.
I've been in customer service as well for many years. And yeah, being able to communicate over phone or Zoom or anything is something that not everybody can do. So you've done great today.
Well, I'll take a compliment wherever I can get.
I think in the fountain pen world too, so many people are introvert. I think that's probably why videos do so well, truthfully, and why people want to see stuff, because they're introverted, so they don't want to just go out there and like ask or talk. And pen shows is the place to do it, sure, but you don't just have one every day of the week. Without videos, people online, people that are creators like yourself, I don't know that I would find, or even I should say, I don't know that I would have found any of this stuff. So I think that it's just amazing, and I really like it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, not just being able to share the content or anything like that, but it's also, for me, like it's almost a memory keeping exercise. I'm going to go back to these videos and see what I what I liked or what I loved then, and compare it to what I like now. And it's kind of my own little video journal because of taking stock of what I've liked. Although there are some videos that I probably won't ever watch again because they were awful.
Let's watch them together now. Let's bring them back. For me, I think every company is great, but the fact that they do the Hatch program, to me, that's awesome. That's so awesome. I've done art for a few comic stores near me, and it was a big process. And when you do it, it's so hard because you have to justify yourself and you have to prove it and you have to do all that. Not to say you don't with Endless, but there's so much more, especially with the back and forth. It seems like what they care about is the people's vision, and they want to make it happen. And that's super important to me. They may not understand it all the time, and I'm sure there's ones that they may not get, but they're like, just explain it, tell me, and we'll do it. So I think that's awesome.
Absolutely. I'm so excited for yours now. I'm excited for yours to come out.
Can I tell you the stuff? You cannot repeat it because I don't think I'm supposed to. So being able to tell anyone has been like amazing, because I've wanted to for so long, but I can't.
No, I'm so excited for you. Like, I know exactly how you're feeling, because that one friend that I told you about who was with me from the beginning, other than my husband, but he doesn't count because he doesn't get it. But being able to tell like that one friend and being able to like have them share in the excitement from like the beginning and be able to match your excitement is a huge deal. And like, because there's so much that you're keeping inside, you're like, I can't tell anyone. And even when I was doing like the sneak peeks for my pen, I'm like, just getting the reaction from people from the sneak peeks or the pictures that I was putting up even before I posted the pen was like, I'm sharing pieces of my excitement with you. And this community is so receptive to that.
I told them when I sent it, I said, look, I understand if you want to do this, but there's not a world I can live in where this doesn't get made. Like, I can't envision it. It's too late. I've gone too far.
No, I like that. And like that's how I felt about my pen. Like once it actually started getting, like the ideas started actually turning into something, I'm like, well, yeah, I can't my collection cannot exist without this pen in it.
I'm sure you maybe will be modest about this, but you are definitely some people's like icons online, and they love the stuff you do and put out there. And just being able to talk to people, I have so much fun doing it. And oh my God, your stuff's so good. So it's great.
Oh, thank you. No, it's been fun. And I never thought I would get to this place of where I am with YouTube and Instagram. It's just something I started for fun. And now like to get to the place where I'm at, it's still unbelievable to me. And I'm just grateful for where I am and how I've gotten here. And I love this community. I'm so glad I'm part of it. Thank you so much. This was so fun, Neil. Really, really fun.
I will hopefully talk to you again for the next release. I can cut anything we need to.
Perfect.